Hello, welcome to the next One Piece chapter review and discussion. And my goodness, what a chapter this is! We had a break last week from watching Shanks completely annihilate the kid pirates, and I thought, oh, we might go back to Egghead, slow things down. Nope, Oda is hitting these chapters out back to back, and my god, does Garp really pull up in this one. So, without further ado, chapter 1080, the legendary hero himself, continuing on the cover story request. We start off nice and calm. We've got Kamoatu and Hiyori just making some origami, just chilling out. Wano's finished now, so they're all getting back together, they're all relaxed. Country's open to theirs. Peaceful. But we don't go to Egghead at all this chapter. We are actually on Hachinosu, so the pirate island in the New World. Our lovely island that Blackbeard has taken over as his home base. And it is where Koby is now on the loose. So obviously Blackbeard had taken Koby as a hostage when he attacked Boa, and has since kept him prisoner. And we kick off with Koby on the loose, rushing round, and all the pirates are in a frenzy now to try and kill him or claim his bounty. Now that Blackbeard is not on the island, the Commodore, as they call him, he's off on Winter Island fighting Law at the minute. His bounty is up for grabs. So they're all planning how they want to do it. They said Cross Guild, obviously, is coming back. And they talk about what is the payout for a guy like Koby. How much is he worth? And they said, well, the average captain is a single star. So the average captain, just a 1-star bounty, not a much. But Koby has 5. So Koby's rocking around, and as they equivalate it, it's about 500 million berries. A pretty reasonable sum for Koby, considering how he's this hero of the Rocky Port incident. He's up and coming in the Marines. He poses quite a threat. And as they're discussing this bounty, the skull, the island itself, begins to talk. And it's saying it feels a tickling sensation in its left side, and it thinks that's where the prisoners were. And it's starting to catch on to the fact that all of the prisoners have escaped. And everyone's like, wait, what? Why is the island talking? Is that Pizzaro? And they're saying, now it's just crazy. What are we doing? Like, is that voice actually coming from the mountain? That's not happening. And we get a shot of Koby, sword member, Navy captain, and he's rushing around with a ball and chain. Bless him, still in chains, but managing to escape. And he's telling everyone he's released to flee, to get as far as they can. He's going to be a decoy because he's the one they want. Really, everyone else is just more hostages, but he's like the main star of amongst them. He was like, right, I'm the one they really want. I'm gonna head that way. You guys head that way. Save yourselves. And they're all thanking him. He's a saint, he's a star. But we cut away up into now the skull, the head itself, where Blackbeard's probably main chambers are, his room. And we have Shiryu. So Shiryu isn't with Blackbeard. Wasn't hiding because he has the clear fruit. He can turn invisible. He's not hiding with Blackbeard. He's still on the island. So he's probably top command at the moment. But he's saying to just the room, you could have caught him, Pizzaro, if you wanted to. And a face appears in the floorboards of the room. And we have Alvaro Pizzaro, the corrupt king himself, Avalo Pizzaro, and his face takes up a giant amount of the floor. and says that Teach would tell him off and get annoyed for causing too much damage. And we have confirmation of his devil fruit, an island man with the island fruit. Man is a whole island now. So Pizzaro can now take on the whole island. So an upgrade of Pika's fruit. Pika could just do stone. So as we saw in Dressrosa, he could become a mountain as long as there was stone. But we saw Zaro deal with that. This man is a damn island. He can... I don't know how long it takes, and we don't know the limitations. Just to see many limitations. But does he have to spend a certain amount of time to get accustomed to the island? Or can he just simply step on the land and can move, can freely change the locale, push things, move things, appear in one place and transport over to the next in a second? It seems that this whole island is under his say and domain. He can freely shape it and move it how he wants. So I think the constraint might be that whatever's present on the island, he can control. I assume that it's not... I mean, if more stuff gets added, maybe. Like more buildings. But I don't think he can create new stuff. I think it's already pre-existing that he can move. What a pretty strong devil fruit ability regardless. And at first I was like, oh, how are you going to fight a man who can become the whole island? We'll see at the end of the chapter. But he's laughing away in this little cat laugh. And we see these bubbles floating in. And Vasco shot just gliding down on a bubble. Man seems happy, saying, oh, well, I can go for him. If I burn the town down, there'll be nowhere left to run if I burn it down. And we see that the heavy drinker of the Blackbeard Pirates, the booze man, has now got the glug fruit. So we don't yet necessarily know the limitations and strengths and powers of this devil fruit. But if he's floating on bubbles, we know he likes to drink his liquor. It's got to be something to do with manipulating liquid alcohol, maybe in some capacity. He's floating on a bubble. So maybe he can create bubbles, he can use it. He talks about burning, so maybe he uses fire in addition to the liquor he does. But again, him wanting to burn it down, Pizzaro says, again, all that damage, Blackbeard would be ticked off. So they're trying to keep damage to a minimum right now. Haha. Not going to happen. But they say, well, we can just patch the damage up, it's not going to be too hard. And then they're like, well, we've just finally patched up the damage from the Rocky Port incident. So it'll take even longer to patch up all this damage if you go crazy just to catch one guy. And it says, well, why don't we just send Wolf? And Sanjuan Wolf, our big battleship man, towers over everything, already a giant. His devil fruit is the big fruit. So we knew it was something to do with manipulating his size, because we knew he was big, but he was a giant who is now a giant amongst giants. A giantification man. That word. But he's just sleeping against the mountain. So he seems out of it for the time being. Koby is just rushing away, just hoping the others get away and set sail. He's just escaping everyone else. And he's recalling what Blackbeard had told him during his time on this island. And we get a flashback to Blackbeard's grand scheme, his plan for what he wanted to do. And he said, well, my idea is to create a pirate island of fully fledged nations. And it can be government affiliated so long as I'm the king. So he doesn't mind affiliating with the government as long as he's in charge and he's the king. The Blackbeard Kingdom has a nice ring to it. And we see Koby being like, you're delusional. There's no way they're going to acknowledge you as a country of criminals. And Blackbeard's like, oh, come on. Can't go, can't go bashing someone's dream like that. Gotta be nice about things. And he says, well, the Navy and the government would collapse before they roll over and you know, power towards people like you. And then Koby says, you know what? Well, you're wasting your time regardless because I'm a member of Sword. So he just comes out and says it. And we see Aokiji in the back. So definitely, we knew anyway, but he's in the room. We've got all the captains, it looks like, in the room before they've all set sail. And interestingly enough, we actually have most of them now where they are, apart from 3 of them. But we probably have a good idea where they're heading. Because Blackbeard, Jesus, Doc Q, Van Auger are all currently fighting Law's crew on Winter Island. We've got Pizzaro, Vasco, Shiryu, Sanjuan Wolf, who are still on Hachinosu. So that leaves Lafitte, Katarina Devon, and Aokiji are the 3. And actually, of now the 10 Titanic captains, there's only Lafitte. Yeah, only Lafitte is the Devil Fruit ability or name that we haven't got yet. We know everyone else is Devil Fruit now because when Blackbeard was fighting Law, Jesus Burgess has the buff fruit. He can just make himself super strong. Already Mexican wrestler can buff himself up. Pretty good for him. Doc Q has the sick fruit, so he can infect diseases onto people, and we saw how he manipulates that. He's a doctor, so he's probably got a wide range of diseases he knows about. Stronger got the Pegasus, and we saw Blackbeard riding around on that. Van Auger, the sniper of the group, can now warp people. The warp fruit, he can teleport everyone around. So they were the initial ones. We've now got the current ones we just found out this chapter of Avalo Pizzaro's Island fruit, which is incredibly broken. Vasco shots the glug fruit, or something to do with alcohol and liquor and manipulating liquids. We knew about Shiryu's clear fruit for a long time now. We know that Sanjuan Wolf is now the big fruit, so a giant amongst giants. We already knew Aokiji's from way back when, the here no me, the cold fruit. So I'm sure he's going to be pretty strong even now. Seems pretty serious. Katarina Devon, we know, has the Kitsune, the mythical Inu no Mi. And she can, I'm pretty sure she might be able to turn into the Nine-Tailed Fox, but we know that one of the abilities anyway is to take on the appearance and voice of anyone she's seen or touched. We don't know yet the limitations. We know it's the upgraded version. So a lot of what we're seeing are upgraded versions of fruits we already know. And we've yet to know Lafitte. We saw Lafitte with wings is the only clue as to what devil fruit he could have. So it could be like an angel or some regards, because it all seems that the devil fruits each one is being given really steps into like their strengths. But tangent there, coming back to Aokiji explaining that Sword is, we've messed up, Teach. He says, right, that rules him out. It's a bust. And he's like, what even is Sword? And he says, well, Sword members have given up the Marine Code. So they're members of the Marines, but they're no longer recognized on paper. So they're affiliated to the Marines, but they are not amongst the Marines anymore. So everyone in Sword has officially resigned their commission, and they're allowed to ignore certain protocols. For example, they could fight Blackbeard, they could fight any Emperor without authorization. And the Navy can disavow their actions and cut them loose at any point. So it's saying, so rats scurrying away, so Vasco Shot says, and they don't hesitate to gnaw on your fingertips. But It's just them saying we'll see how this plan works, but sword members no longer are a part of the government, no part of the Navy, the Marines, so they can move within their own jurisdiction. We only see like silhouettes. We know a few members. We don't actually know how many members are in Sword. I assume there's not going to be many because it's still a very secret agency within the Marines. But Blackbeard doesn't really care and says, you know what? If the government write you off easily, the public won't because you are their precious hero. So the least I'll do is give the government a bloody nose and really shake them up. But until then, keep them locked up. Can't have them slipping away. And we cut to how Koby managed to escape. And it was Perona. So Perona has showed up to obviously want to rescue Moria. And she requests Koby and says, if you can free Moria, he's in one of the deeper cells. So we don't know if he's done it yet or he's going to do this. But he managed to escape. And he says, I can't believe I'm teaming up with a pirate, But that doesn't change. But he freed everyone else. He's still rushing with his ball and chain. And then all of a sudden, attacks start flying in buildings, start catching fire. The Marines have arrived. So we saw the G14. Everyone was gathering together to come and attack Hachinosu. And we've got the Marines attacking. There's no way. People are starting to get flustered now and retaliate. And bless him, poor Koby saying, what was I thinking? It's not likely that they're going to send someone just to save me, right? That, you know what? Like, when did I start thinking the world revolved around me? I need to get a grip. The Marines they're here for other reasons. It's not just for me. Do you know what I mean? And we've got cut to the Marines fighting. And this one Marine gentleman, much larger, takes a couple of guys down and his head comes clean off in one of their attacks. But little do they know that his body begins to reform and they say he's made out of clay. Is he some sort of Logia? This gentleman in the Marines is able to reform his body from clay. And we see the buildings are beginning to move and shake and wobble. And people are starting to be like, no, those buildings are moving. But we hear in the distance a whip crack. And we cut over to a woman putting the building in its place, saying, be a good boy. Yeah, don't move. No back talk, stay in your place. And they're like, is she talking to a building? Is that happening? But we see this woman, rain hair whipping, and we see a few of these people are who we saw previously, but we didn't get their names. We only saw them in like certain panels. And we've got a Marine Rear Admiral just sort of binding her whip, saying, well, you know what? You don't get many Marines around here. Well, at least you both are pretty looking, Why don't you come a little closer, lads? And we have Kujaku. She is a tamer woman who ate the whip fruit. So I assume it's something to do with if she whips someone, maybe has some strange ability there. Like she puts the building in the place, so maybe it's something to do with that. Some weird stuff. But we do know that she's the granddaughter of Osuru. So obviously she has the washball fruit. She joined with Garp and Sengoku. But we've now got her granddaughter, and she's ready to break some people in. So we've got a very strange woman here. But unfortunately, we see Koby is now surrounded by everyone, and they all begin to fire into Koby in the center, and flowers begin to erupt from their guns, and no one knows what's happening. And they realize it's the gunpowder flowers. What we saw in the cover story from Vegapunk, his Nobel Prize winning thing. All of their guns have been afflicted with the gunpowder flowers. So everyone's just shooting flowers. We've got people saying they're beautiful. And Hibari is up, sniper position on the roof, saying, I've got you covered. Don't get the wrong idea, though. I use flower bullets so they wouldn't be able to use their guns. So somehow she has managed to infect the rest of the pirates' guns with this gunpowder flower. So whether she shot into the crowd or dispersed something in the air that turned that gunpowder into flowers, we don't know how yet it works. But she's got a pretty cool sniper. Modern scope. Looks pretty cool. She's a commander, so she's below. One below Koby. We know she's big into Koby, but she's obviously trying to play it cool. But we see one of our main men, Prince Groose, just sort of chilling on top of a building, saying, right, we're all set. Koby's safe, so Hibari and Koby have managed to probably dip out the way. He's been safe. And we see Prince Groose, our rear admiral, is actually a clayman. He has the squelch fruit, or the clay fruit, and we can see he's making a little golem. So what I'm assuming is the guy from before, who was made out of clay, was actually a golem created by Groose. So maybe a lot of the Marines are. Maybe this initial wave of people who were attacking were just golems made by Prince Groose to sort of corral a lot of the pirates into this courtyard, like central area. And even Prince Groose says that he doesn't remember the town looking like this. I have the buildings moved. So we can tell that Avalo Pizzaro has rearranged the island in some way and created this sort of middle area. But we get a shot of Tashigi, who is amongst them. Don't know if she's a part of Sword, but she's certainly came along, but no smoker. We haven't seen yet. El Meppo's there. We get a lovely grin from Old Man Garp. And Garp's battleship lifts off into the sky. Now, I don't think it's a coup de burst of Frankie, but I mean, from what we're about to see, I'm sure Garp could just flick from the back of the ship and send the ship flying up. We don't know how he's done this, but I'm pretty sure it's just Garp just going, right, flick, ship goes sailing into the sky, and everyone is now in just sheer terror. They're saying, why is this ship? Is that Garp ship? The legendary hero himself. There's no question. What are we standing around for? We're all packed in here, and it's too late. A lovely shot of Garp winding up his muscles, and we see back up on the skull, Shiryu, Vasco, just sort of talking and saying, nah, it's too late. They're all crowded in the center. There's no way out. And we see Garp leap from the top of his battleship, and he's just the top of his lungs, building up this sheer amount of haki, saying, now you listen here. You understand one thing. You should have thought twice before kidnapping Koby. He is the future of the Marines. My pupil, my irreplaceable prodigy. And Koby's trying to understand why people are going to such extent for him. But we see the intercontinental ballistic missile that is Garp, and he comes in, doesn't even touch the ground. Just the sheer attack, the galaxy fit. The explosion from this man's fist destroys an island. I mean, we saw maybe Eames' weapon that we saw destroy that island that Sabo was near. Maybe he was just dropping Garp off there because Garp's just destroyed an island with his fist. Man just drops in and goes, yeah. Doesn't even touch the island. Just a sheer explosion from his punch. The force. What a guy. Comes in swinging. So I'm pretty sure most people are going to be dead. I assume our captains all have survived somehow. We'll see if Pizzaro takes some damage from this, seeing as he's the island itself. Because everything is destroyed. Man comes in and just elbow drops an island and causes a nuclear explosion. I can't do this panel justice. The sheer force that this man has just dropped from the sky and punched and destroyed an island with a galaxy fist. No wonder Garp so feared. I mean, imagine if he pulled this out of Marineford. Imagine if he had done this any other time. Another break next week. I don't blame Oda because my goodness, you drop Shanks one shot and hit. Oh wow, look at Shanks's power. Wow, scary man. This Emperor, isn't he? Just one shot the kid pirates. Let me drop a Garp in, and he destroys an island. Oh well. Anyway, break next week. But what a phenomenal chapter. Well, till next time.